how it's gonna take away the western view. That park is a gem, and I'm not diminishing our need for affordable housing. I mean, that's very important. Years ago, we had a plan, and that our affordable housing was supposed to go between the town of Columbus and the Homestead area, where all the amenities are, all the doctor's offices, the stores, and everything. So, and to reiterate what Frank said, isolating people of low and moderate income by themselves a mile from anywhere is, to me, if that's not a social injustice, I don't know what is. So, with all that, guys, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Maureen Taylor Ford.
Happy Wednesday again. Maureen Taylor Ford, 117 Grand Street, Mount Holly. One of the things I wanted to ask, thank you for that direct. I didn't know that you can have an app on your phone for the health department. That's very good information. I just wanted to reiterate, you know, we lost a sheriff, I believe yesterday, to suicide. And as a military person and as a federal employee, we have employee assistance. I'm not certain if the state has that also, and if the county takes any stake in letting their people know these services are available to each of the underlying departments. You know, if you guys have surveys or something like that, that these departments could send out maybe to be able to identify people who are in need. They may not just make a phone call. That was very sad to hear about that situation with the police officer. Following up with these two gentlemen said about Mansfield, I did have a question in regard, when I started coming here about a year ago, similar question about planning boards, township planning boards, and what is the oversight? Is it the oversight of the county, or is it the oversight of the state? When you have the planning boards and they're railroading the citizens, myself, and you just have these houses, you have these warehouses, everything is just coming to this lower half of South Jersey. So when we're taking away our open spaces to accommodate more so businesses, not so much as what they're talking about, housing. I just want to know, like, who is that oversight? Should I be calling the governor's office? Like, who should I ask? I'm just very concerned because I don't like what's going on in my town, Mount Holly, and I'm hearing, obviously, it's not only my town, it's other towns. So I would just like who should I be talking to as far as that is concerned? The other thing is I see on the original, resolutions here, all these donations to the, animal shelter. So when you make a donation, is it in excess of $1,000 that is printed in here? I didn't even know you could make donations on that account. Cause one of the questions I had tonight was, we had a family get evicted here in Mount Holly. They had like a horde of cats. Okay, they're running up and down my high street. I got a call from a good friend of mine, Miss Carter. She calls me. I go, I trap a bunch of them. I don't have the funds to get these things fixed. And you know, sadly, the people were evicted. Sadly, no, they did not take the right approach to when they knew they were gonna be out of a home. When I called the shelter, they said they had no funds. And the lady was really nasty on the phone, and she said she had no funds. She said because Burlington County didn't give us any funds. And I was like, oh, that's really a sad thing to say. You know, and they were very nasty at the shelter.
Which shelter did you call?
I called Burlington County Shelter, and matter of fact, I even have on an email. They emailed that to me that they don't have any funds because you guys did not give it to me. I will show Charlene the email, okay? I was like, this is unbelievable. And then I come here tonight, I see all these donations, so I wound up having to outsource to Pennsylvania. And I have an appointment to drive in an hour and a half to take these cats, you know, because I wanna help animals. I wanna not have so many ferals in my particular town or people in bad situations. So those were my main things that I really had tonight. But my concern was really the EAP and if the county had any stake in all the departments and push these situations on the people, like maybe surveys or something that gets people to talk more about these type of situations. Thank
So,
you.
You could, so Charlene will definitely help you, and then Charlene will get her the additional information as well. All right, next we have Ms. Kate Allen.
Kate Talon, 53 Oak Lane, New Egypt, New Jersey. I'm actually from Ocean County. I work with my father here, Talon, monitoring Region 20 watershed, and Mr. Pinto here just do, political work throughout the area. I just kind of wanted to piggyback onto what they had said and give you guys a little bit more history. Over the past few years, I've worked with White Spot Preservation Trust as an ecologist and history tour guide. One of the things we teach about history out at White Spot is how it was a company town. They had segregated villages. The black folk were kept far away from the Italian workers. So they had two sets of migrant workers. What we're seeing now with the affordable housing is, especially in Mansfield, is cheap land grabs all over the state in order to push people into where they can make money off of them. I'm afraid for what's going to be happening in the future in areas like out towards Crystal Lake Park where we see severe flooding. We're going to have to start planning to how to get these people out of these situations where they're experiencing heavy mosquito habitat, flooding issues, black mold issues. We're still seeing fallout from Irene, where all the low-income people up in North Jersey are having issues with black mold. That is still not rectified. It's taking years for them to get any sort of help from the government to get out of these homes. If we're going to be allowing these cheap land grabs to go through and pushing this affordable housing in this way, we have to prepare for the future. I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that in the future, that might be something that we have to look at. We know that we've put in, 88 square feet, a million square feet of impervious surface in this area. So that flooding is probably going to get worse, because I know in Mansfield Township, all of the warehouses that were built to the old stormwater regulations. They made sure they didn't implement them until the very end, so that they could approve all the outdated stormwater regulations as to not burden the developers. The document that my father was talking about was the judiciary history of Western Jersey. William Biddle was a judge. He was one of the original judges for West Jersey. He was a Quaker. The Quakers did believe that their slaves should be set free. They were some of the first people that came over here that decided their slaves should be set free, and they buried them on their family plots with their relatives. They considered them human beings. They were equals. It was one of the reasons the Quakers were kind of pushed out by the Puritans. So that little bit of history means something. And I think it's something that we should have preserved. We used to have signage out on that property on the corner of Route 130 and King Cora Road that showed that this was Mount Hope, that this was an area where that there was hope. There was a new world was forming, and the Quakers were there to make sure everybody was equal. It's gone now. We don't know where it went, but it's gone. I don't know if that was on purpose or it got knocked down. I don't know. But just some things to think about, and thank you for your service.
Do we have anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, I am now closing this portion of public comment. We will now move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Singh, do you have any comments?
Ms. Taylor, I think she's gone. Thank you for running over the bridge and going to Pennsylvania to take care of the little friends. I'm sure our department will look into all the inconvenience. To Kate and Bob Talon and Frank Phantom, I have quite a bit of family in Mansfield. My dad lived there too, so I'm somewhat familiar with this project that was coming up in the past couple of years, and I guess it's finally building up there. I drove by there a few weeks ago. I wasn't sure if the warehouses were still coming, but houses looked to be coming up. So I'll touch base with you after the meeting. I just want to update myself as to exactly what is happening there. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Pulliam?
Thank you, Director. I want to start off, as I always do, thanking our directors and heads and administration and our staff for everything that they do every day for us to keep our residents serviced. I have experienced some of the I want to say instances that you folks have brought before the board, especially the warehousing issues. Everybody has experienced this migration from the north, and one of the biggest concerns that I have is traffic and the burden on our roads in general. There has been some discussion. Don't know how much I'm looking into it locally about, these warehousing folks having to pay, monies to the county for support of the local highways, et cetera. Maybe we can get something out of that. I know that it's been a discussion and we may look into that, further. Also, as far as, the flooding goes, I think everybody is quite aware of the urban sprawl and, how devastating that's become. And I do agree with you that at some point in time, it's gotta be addressed. The biggest thing, on my plate right now locally is affordable housing. And, we are working toward, I don't know whether you saw it or not, but the bill was, in, legislature today, passing the fourth round numbers for affordable housing. And I don't know what type of an impact that is going to have on you, but it's definitely something everybody has to take a look into, okay? Thanks for coming out, thanks for sharing everything.
Has the reform bill on that been passed yet?
I don't know, you're gonna have to look. I just took a brief look and I know the bill was up there, I didn't hear whether it got passed or not. Thanks for coming, thanks for sharing, everybody have a safe drive home.
Thank you. Commissioner Apple?
Thank you, Director. Yes, thank you everyone for coming out. We don't see everything all the time, so we do value your feedback to make sure that we can see what you see. And several of the comments here tonight are sharing the idea that it's all interconnected. So we might have this little part, you have that little part, but they're all interconnected. And we need to be able to have those conversations so that we're all understanding what's going on. So I thank you for coming out and sharing your perspective tonight. And thank you for being part of the process. And thank you again to all the department heads and all the county professionals who work tirelessly all the time to make sure that we're all functioning. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Deputy Director?
Thank you, Director. Good evening, everybody. I too would like to thank all of you who took the time to come here and to raise issues and concerns in your towns. And Mr. Pinto, I'm not an expert on this, but if I heard you correctly, the affordable housing, along with the market housing, was the result of a lawsuit.
Yes. Builders remedy law.
It's kind of interesting to me, and I don't know who you would talk to about it, that they could make a change.
It has to go back to the court.
Okay, all right. I'd like to thank the five individuals and one group, the Friends of the Burlington County Animal Shelter, for their donations to our animal shelter. And Ms. Taylor Ford, I looked up and I thought you had left. I'm glad you came back. I don't know who the person was who answered you on the phone. We pass a budget every year for the animal shelter. Those people wouldn't be working in the animal shelter without money. So that was just somebody that answered the phone to make you go away. And we'll address that with them when we can. But the other thing is, in Mount Holly, we should have an animal control officer. You shouldn't have to be doing it as an individual citizen. You can address that with Mount Holly Township, and they'll take those animals. A couple of things that took place. I want to thank today our Office on Aging for inviting yours truly to a tea party for our senior citizens out at the farmhouse at our Ag Center. It was a wonderful event, and for the time that I was there, it looked like a good time was being had by all. On Martin Luther King's holiday, I'd like to thank the Volunteer Center of Burlington County for their invitation at our Burlington County Library in West Hampton. They had the Martin Luther King Challenge, and donations were collected for Oaks Integrated Food Pantry of Mount Holly, our Burlington County Animal Shelter, and Newborns in Need, the Burlington County chapter. Yesterday I had the pleasure, along with my colleague Commissioner Eckel, at the invitation of our Emergency Services Training Center, to attend the graduation of the newest firefighters to Burlington County. And I know I can speak for our entire board. When we thank those folks for stepping forward, these are volunteer fire companies. We want to wish them well as they go forward. That's all I have tonight. Everybody get home safe. Thank you, Director.
Thank you. My comments will be brief. So, Mr. Pinto, and to the Talent family, you mentioned a few things that kind of sparked my interest. So, I don't know if your concern is for affordable housing, marginalized communities, or African American history. I'm not quite sure. and we don't need to have a back and forth, I'm just saying that this marginalized communities have been in existence forever, and, you mentioned slaves being brought over to help build something. I don't see how that is relevant, considering if you look at the Site 1619 project by Pulitzer Prize winner Hannah Jones, slaves helped build America. So we can't get in, I don't know why we would use that as a premise. So, little concerning that we would choose to now care about African American history. Affordable housing is needed, so I'm not quite sure where the connection is. And speaking as a Black person and understanding the history, and then connecting the dots of slavery and affordable housing and marginalized communities, is just a tad bit concerning to me. So I'll stop my comments there. I am now looking, thank you everyone for coming tonight. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Second.